Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast. Designed for the conscious community, these conversations create awareness around holistic approaches to living your best life. Tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to extract what you need to live as your true soulful self. I am so happy today to introduce you all to one of my dear friends, Rommie Buhler. She is the holistic health coach and works with animals. So she can probably describe this a whole lot better. So what I'd love for you to do is just introduce yourself and what it is that you do.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for having me today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And so, yes, I am the holistic animal health coach. And I know, what does that even mean? It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, you got animals in there and we talk health. So how does that work? I guess there's some subsets underneath that. I have people that come to me that have obviously an animal either in their care, they work for them, or they're just really interested in an animal that they need to hear about. But they don't know why they're behaving a certain way. They don't know why they're unwell, why they're not eating, why they can't get their horse to train in the way that they need them to. And every possible question you could have for your pet or animal, and you can never answer, they come to me. And what I do then is I communicate with them. So part of what I do is an animal communicator, and I speak to the animal and ask them the why. I try and get the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you feeling this way? What are you feeling? How are you feeling? All of that kind of thing. And then we've kind of come into some solutions. So I'm also an animal energy healer, and all of my work is remote. I think I do about 1% of my work one-on-one. The rest is through a Zoom screen. So I work globally with all sorts of animals, wild and domestic. So the healing I do, and I also am a medical intuitive, and I'm a medical intuitive for people and animals. So all of this work is intuitive. The silent language of animals is telepathy. So we communicate not like a conversation that we're having now, where I can ask you a question and I can get an answer. And if I don't understand it, I can keep asking you until you make it make sense for me. With an animal, you communicate through images, words, feelings, knowings, taste and smell. And you have to be shown that information in a way that you understand. And then you interpret that information for the person that's wanting to know about Socks, the cat. So that's kind of what I do. I also am a missing animals investigator. So I use my intuitive investigative senses to try and find an animal that has gone missing. So yes.
Oh man, like even in just that bit you said there, I've got so many questions popping into my field. But my first one is like what is your favorite animal that you've worked with? Is it domestic or wild? What has it been so far to date?
Oh, that's a very tricky question. Look, I have to say, I love all animals. I come from the country. I'm a wheat and sheep farmer's kid, and I've had every animal under my care and forever. So I love you all, okay? I'm not dissing anybody, but I love communicating with horses. I absolutely love it. They are such powerful communicators. They have a lot to say. They're very easy to hear. I think that's one of the things. Cats and dogs are easy to hear too, depending on their personality. And same as horses too, but there's just something about them that I connect with very strongly. So, I speak to them a lot with, a lot of dressage and eventing clients that want to be better. They want to get on the podium, or they want to, do better by their horse or whatever. So from a domestic animal, I'd say the horse. From a wild animal, I love talking to them all, actually. I can't say that I have a favorite there. I've spoken to the great white shark, with all of the attacks that were going on in Western Australia. For a point there, someone asked me if I could check out and see what was going on there. The octopus is very interesting. The bison, the American wolves, whenever I can, I try and become the animal and have a conversation with them. I want to feel, how are you feeling in this environment? What's going on for you? What do you need from us humans? And they're quite different to talking to a domestic animal. They have different kind of things and needs that they have.
Has there been any instances where you've tried to tune in with an animal, become them, and they've been like, no, out. I do not want to talk to you right now. Like, no.
Yeah, some of the domestic animals actually. I had actually my sister-in-law's cat, who's unfortunately has this name Sniper. And to all the listeners out there, please be mindful of how you decide upon a name for your animal, because it's really important. But my little nephew decided that he was a Sniper, and he's going to call him Sniper. There's a lot wild about this little cat. He's absolutely beautiful now. He's sort of growing out of some of his habits, but he spent a lot of time in the streets. So he's like standing in a corner with his arms crossed going, no, you people, why do you what's wrong with you people? I'm not talking to you. So I had to wait, and I waited for maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something. So just let, a lot of animals, when they are grieving or when they're angry or when they've been trying to get their message across to mum or dad for so long, and it's not body language. We see body language, and that is not a true representation of their problem. So we try and work with that, and we're not really getting to the answer to the problem. So they're pissed off.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get through that. They say their bit, they get all snooty, and then the true essence of that animal will come through.
I feel like as well, it's you like holding space and creating space for them to be able to respond.
Yes, I think that's a big part of it as well. And just allowing them to be annoyed, to be, sad. My big thing with humans and animals that I've worked with, because I started with people many years ago, is emotional health. It's so important that we look at emotional health, because it manifests as a physical problem a lot of the time somewhere in the body. And it is the same for animals, and I see it all the time. So emotional health for me is really important to almost address that first, because a lot of clients will come to me with, my cat's not eating, or my cat's vomiting, or my dog's got a limp and I don't know what's going on, or, kidney problems or whatever it is. But a lot of the time it's an emotional issue that needs to be addressed. Yes, it is a physical problem, but where did it come from? Let's get back to the root. And so that's of great interest to me. And that's where I end up sitting around.
And you're so good at that part too. I remember in the past, we've had some pretty robust discussions about emotional stuff manifesting in the body. And that stuff is my jam. Like, I love that. And I wish I knew all the things about that, but just not yet. But there was, you did a session with my beautiful dog, Max. He's a Rottweiler. And I remember you saying, like, he loves us all so dearly, but he just wants so much more attention. Like, he needs to feel loved. And he's saying, I know you're all there, but, come love me some more. And he was only like a 12-month-old pup. So of course he needs love, right? But the thing that fascinated me the most was when you tapped into, because he had a rash, he had an itch on his belly and a rash, and you tapped into how that was feeling for him, and then a taste in his mouth. And the taste in his mouth was actually like a chemical taste. And that was from where my hubby had been dropping the weed and feed on the garden. And this was actually reacting with Max, and he was letting you know that he doesn't like that. That doesn't work for him. And I was just like, what?
Yeah, I know. I've done absolutely every possible thing wrong with my animals, from birth to 10 years ago, I guess. And then and even now, I'm still learning myself. But that is one thing that I see often, is the chemicals. And it's not necessarily you, it's the neighbors spraying Roundup on the fence line. It's the neighbor on the other side that is spray painting their house, and all of that stuff is coming across because a cat and a dog has their nose down here on the grass, or new carpets in a house. I had a lady before Christmas who had bought a natural air freshener, plug-in air freshener. And that was really causing all sorts of problems for one of her cats. So just be mindful of whether it's natural or a chemical base. Be mindful of all of that stuff that's going around the animals.
Oh, so important. I was at my local shops, and there's a pet store there, and above the cat, so there was the cat area where they've got it all sort of caged off, and then up on the shelf was one of those Glade spray air fresheners, and all this like chemicals sitting on the And I walked past and my whole body went into contraction, and I'm like, the cats, and got really concerned. But then I couldn't think of a way to communicate to the shop tender, this isn't okay for them, like this can't be there, that they're suffering. And so I didn't say anything, but it stuck with me till now. I'm like, I should have found a way to say something, but it's you only know what you know. And sometimes people just think they're doing the right thing, but it's not good for the animal.
Absolutely. And that's what I say a lot, is that it doesn't mean we don't love our animals, but we love them, but it doesn't mean they're getting the care that they need.
Yeah.
So we don't know, and unless you communicate with them, and everybody can, I'm not special. It's just something I decided to do. But, everyone can communicate and find out, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? Oh, Dad's been spraying again. Get that out of the shed.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So, it's podcasts like this, Kate, that educate people to let
Just
the little light bulb go
it.
off and look into it. And
get curious.
Next time you go to that pet shop, you won't hesitate.
Yeah. Such valuable information. So yeah, tap into that, listeners, please, and just look at what's going on around your pets. But you did mention something else in your intro that I really wanted to speak into, and that was your investigation work for missing animals. Now, I remember a conversation we had where you were sharing a story with me of one that you did. Is there a story that you'd like to share with the listeners of an animal that you've helped to find?
Oh, yes. Let's have a think about that. There is a cat, and I guess this is a story that just shows you that you can do this from afar, that we are one lot of energy, all mixed and intertwined. We are one consciousness. So we can be anywhere and try and find something or communicate with whether it's a tree or an animal. So this is just an example of that. I had a cat. A lady was she was in Maui. She had moved, her and her husband were moving from Venice Beach or Santa Monica over to Maui to live. And she had gone, and their cat was in a vet holding facility while all the quarantine paperwork and all that sort of stuff was going on. And like a little Houdini, the cat got out of the vet's window and took off. And of course, Mum and Dad are in Maui and the cat's in California, and they didn't really know what to do. They've got people out. I think her husband flew back as much as he could to try and find this cat. And I can't remember how long she was missing for. I think it was a few weeks. But at some point in that process, I got involved. I wasn't involved up front. But I got involved in that. And what you try and do is become the cat, or we all work differently, actually, but this is what I do. I kind of become the cat. And so I see from their perspective, from the height off the ground they are and their peripheral vision. So I see the light, the dark, what they can see. I smell, what are the smells around me? I taste, is there any taste there? Can I hear a train? Can I taste, there might be some water. Is it salty or is it brackish or whatever? And then you kind of step out from the animal and you have a look around like a clock to see if you can see any landmarks, any man-made landmarks or any natural landmarks, houses and colours and things. And I could see, it's going back a while, so I can't remember the full details, but I remember seeing it was maybe 500 meters from the vet. And I had a look at a map and I was guided to an area, and there's like a sky blue coloured building and it had white trim on the windows. And I got right down low. I was right down almost on my belly. So this cat was either in a drain under this house in a basement kind of situation. And so her husband had flown back and he was having a look around. He found what he thought might be the house. And bearing in mind, this cat's been missing for a few weeks. So when we're looking for animals, we might think they will recognize our voice and our smell and all that sort of stuff. But when an animal is in shock or fear, they don't recognize too much a lot of the time. So he went off, he put a cat trap out. It's it's a big cage that is set up as a trap, and it's all very humane. And he's gone off to the bottle shop to buy a cup of drinks to go back there at night time while it's quiet and still. Camp out and try and just be there and see. By the time he got back, the cat was in the cage. And so I'm sort of getting goosebumps now just remembering it. And I've gone to bed because, our time zones are different. And I wake up in the morning to this message, and it was just the most amazing thing. And for me, like, that just gives me great joy.
Oh, so much so.
Yeah. So that's one of the exciting occasions. It's not always that way. A lot of the time, I've been told this by many people, that I give them hope, or an animal communicator or intuitive investigator will give you hope, and it will keep you going. And, it's very easy to give up. If your animal's been missing a couple of weeks, you kind of, you stop looking, you stop handing out flyers. But if they're still there or they're trapped, it's like, come on, Mum, Dad, I'm still here.
I love what you do. You do provide hope. I know one of my dear friends, she had a cockatoo, and he recently decided they were down gardening in the yard, and he recently decided, I'm just going to go for a fly. And he went up into the trees initially, and they're like, oh, he'll come down. But he didn't. He went off, and they've been beside themselves, just worrying if he's integrated into the community, if he's safe or whatever. And so I suggested you, and I know that she reached out, and you were able to give her that hope that he is actually okay.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah,
and
really
birds are
nice.
hard because they have wings. So,
yes.
Yeah, I don't tend to do too many birds because it's quite a challenging prospect. But yeah, he was fairly nearby and fully integrated into his community. So it was nice to see him back and happy where he was.
I always felt when I was around him that he didn't ever want to be in a cage. So it was really nice to hear the feedback that I was given when you'd communicated with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this beautiful work that you do now, how did you get into it? Have you always been able to do this?
I have always been intuitive, and I've worked with people before animals. I actually didn't probably know animals was a thing. 11 years ago, I think it was 11, my husband got cancer, and we have a dog who is a Kelpie Border Collie cross, and Kelpies are fairly highly strung at the best of times. So he had a little bit of anxiety. He was an ex-farm dog that was just kind of thrown away, not wanted. And we ended up taking him, and beautiful. He's a beautiful dog. Anyway, I said to Jason, you should learn this animal communication thing and talk to Kenny and figure out what's going on with him and fix his anxiety. And so he thought that sounded interesting. I think he was actually just being nice, but, let's just say he found it interesting. And so I started buying him books, and this is back when DVDs were a thing. So I was buying him DVDs, and I was sending him all of these Google links, not realizing, and you'd understand this, Kate, not realizing that this was all for me, not for him. And so I'm reading all this stuff, and it's fascinating, and I'm watching videos, and he said, just tell me about it, and then we'll work it out later. And so I'd be in bed at night and, oh my God, listen to this. And then there's this time it just kept popping up on my Facebook feed. We don't like the ads, but obviously they find out what you want.
They do.
And I found a mentor, and I still didn't realize, I think, that this was for me, but I found this mentor, and she showed me what it looked like. She sent over telepathically some of her clients, and I thought, I don't even know what she's talking about. I felt a bit sick. I felt like I was at school having a test, but it all just started coming to me, and I'm talking about all of this information, and she's saying, yes, 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 that's who it is, and that's what happened, and this is how they passed, and there's past pets and living pets. And so I just kind of ran with it. From that minute, I just set up a Facebook page, and I've never looked back, and it's been so rewarding, and it was never for Jason, it was always for me. And I've done a lot of sort of mediumship and intuitive mentoring for people, but it's the same thing for animals. Psychic detective work, I've done some workshops and things with that too. So
do you find any major differences between working with humans and working with animals?
Not greatly. I guess, animals don't hold on to grudges, and they don't hold any of this negative emotion the way that we do. So they're easier to heal from an energy healing point of view. They're easier to clear their energy. You kind of need to work, there's a lot of things that you can do for animals, like I'm sure you've heard of emotional freedom technique or thought field therapy, the tapping, emotion code. There's a lot of things that we can do for people that are so effective on animals, but you usually always have to work with the person as well. So, animals mirror their people. They will take on their injury, their illness, their emotional issues, their anxieties. And 9 times out of 10, someone that comes to me with anxiety, their dog or cat or horse, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of anxiety? Oh yeah, that's probably about a 7. So, okay.
Oh,
so
cool.
Animals, they're kind of similar to people, but not as high end. Communicating with people, you can get a very logical, sensible answer from them. So intuitive work, it has to be shown to you in a way you understand. So it has to be shown to you based on your life experience, what you've learned, what you've read, situations you've been in, even movies. Like I had a fellow in California who his daughter was being stalked, or he got broken into, and this particular night, and bashed up pretty much. And he was a fighter, so it was a bit of a melee. And he wanted to know that his daughter was safe. She was 21. And I see this person following her on the way home from a nightclub or a pub, and just a little bit further back, but the feeling I got was evil. And then I was showing this white transporter van and this purple carpet, and I've just gone, oh my God, this bloke is this guy is a serial killer. And the reason why it was shown to me that way, because it wasn't his van, was a movie that I never forget. It was based on a true story of a serial killer in the US that had a white transporter. And the reason they found him was because they found one of the girls and she had purple carpet under her fingernails, and they were able to track it back to this van. So that is kind of my symbol for serial killer. Now, I hope I don't ever see too many of those, but when I see that, and it's the same for people and animals, you get shown things in a way that you can understand, so you can put things together and give
that makes a
information as
lot of
best you can.
sense. Can we please close the loop on that girl? Was she okay?
Yes, she was okay. She was. I was on watch with her for about 3 months, and then I just got some information one night to say he stopped because he got away. The police came and that fellow got away, but he was watching her still for some time.
Wow, that is super scary stuff.
Yeah.
It absolutely fascinates me so much. And do you teach people what you do? Have you done that in the past, or is that something that you like to do?
I have done that in the past. Yes, I've done live and online live and online animal communication courses. I've got an online self-paced course available at the moment, so people can just do that over a 12-month period. That's how long it lasts. So yes, I do teach it. We were working into a level 2, which was more about communicating with past animals, wild animals, and energy healing and that type of thing, and sort of more the psychic detective work coming into some sides. But coronavirus kind of came, and we put it on, and then it got cancelled. We put it on and it got cancelled. So I haven't quite got to that stage yet, but I teach a lot of things. Intuitive development, which is for people or animals. Yes, I love that. Teaching is.
You're very good at it. I went to one of your intuitive development days and I got so much out of it. I really, really did. So what we did, one of the activities we did, which I really loved, was like clearing our own energy or shifting our own energy into balance before we did any of the work. So how do you do that for yourself? How do you regulate or ground, or if you're wanting to do some work but finding that you're not in the space to do it?
I practice medical Qigong a lot, and I'm very conscious of where my energy is, because I feel so much. And I think my upbringing, and I've always played sport, and so then I was interested to learn about anatomy and physiology and energy medicine, and I've done a number of courses on all of that, medical intuition, medical Qigong, energy medicine, all of those things. So I can also see where my energy is blocked through my intuitive senses, so I can know how to move it, you know, tracing meridians. I go off and have a bit of Japanese acupuncture here and there. Prior to a session, I will, you know, I'll do all of those things, which won't make any sense to a listener, but all of those things that we did, I do that before I connect with someone, because I need to be as much as a flowing and empty vessel as I can. Otherwise, it's just, you know, you're kind of trying to get information and it's like getting blood out of a stone. I know that when it's like that, I'm either really, really tired or my energy is blocked somewhere. So
just needing some self-nourishment and rest.
Yeah. You know, someone said to me once that doing intuitive work is like 4 hours of intuitive work is like a 9-hour workday.
Oh, wow.
You know, so you really have to, you know, got to get all your energy centers, your meridians, everything's got to be humming as much as you can. So I do a lot of work with that.
Yeah, you'd really have to set some boundaries around how many clients you see a day and listen to your body.
100%. Yeah, I've got high energy, but I don't, you know, I'm like a sprinter. I don't have a lot of endurance, so I can't do too many clients in a day, but I give a lot in that time frame. So it's really important. You'd know that too, just with what you're doing. Energy is important.
Oh, it fascinates me every single day. And you were the one actually that introduced me to the idea, going back to the animals, or the actual fact that, like we have energy centers or chakras within our own bodies as humans, that dogs and all animals, all living animals do as well. And I saw the image you posted of a dog's chakras and I'm like, oh, wow, they've got like, you know, the tip of the nose was a fascinating one for me.
Yeah, they've got little chakras on their paws and the tip of their tail, and you know, this brachial one at the bonding one, you know, especially people getting animals from, you know, whether it's a horse from a, what is the nice way of saying, glue factory?
Oh, yes.
where they send horses to go off to be
Put
killed.
down.
Yeah, put down. Sorry, everybody, trying to get those words out. Or a rescue centre or foster or adoption or all of those things for cats and dogs. You know, that bonding centre is often always closed. And it's one that you need all of your energy centers open, as you know, or chakras, if you prefer that terminology. But, you know, everything needs to be open before you even try and make changes, or as a part of the healing for your animal.
And that's something you can help people with?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this. I love chatting to you. I could chat to you all day, but what we will do is I'm going to ask you one final question, is if our listeners were wanting to find out more information about what it is that you do, or just get in contact with you, what advice would you have for them?
You can find me at www.rommiebuhler.com, and Kate, I'm sure, will have the spelling of all of that. Otherwise, Facebook, all the socials, at the Holistic Animal Health Coach. If you're wanting to communicate with your animals, and I have to say, anyone that owns an animal or works with animals or has a great interest in them should really want to communicate with them, because they need you so much to understand them. They need to be getting the care that they need, not the care that you're guessing they need. So you can all do it. I can guarantee you, it might be easy for some than others, but we can all do it, because if you have a soul, you are intuitive. It's as simple as that. So find, you know, you can come to me, or you can find someone else that can teach you animal communication, or you can read a lot of books or YouTubes and things like that and get started that way. So yeah, do it.
Thank you
they'll
so
love
much.
you for it.
Yes, they will. I talk to my little Maxie every day since you had the session with him, and I just see it in his eyes now. He communicates to me through his gorgeous eyes exactly how he's feeling, and he's such a sook.
I know the old Rottweiler has a bad rap, doesn't it? But
you know, they're the
they're beautiful
softest,
dogs.
most gentlest soul ever. He just wants lots of love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time with us today. I have appreciated every moment. And yes, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Kate. It's a pleasure to be here, and I've really enjoyed sharing my stuff with all your listeners.
Love your stuff. Bye.
Bye.